And this is the posse. And we are glad that we are able to be here today to be a part of a very, very worthy event. We'd like to thank all of you for coming out and participating. We're going to send this one out to each and every one of you who came out today, and for everyone who has pledged to help. We send you our thanks. We also take time to send this one out to all of the Kurdish people who need our help at this time. And also we send this one out to all of the mothers in the house today for a very happy Mother's Day. And last but not least, we send this one out to all of you who believe that prayer can help change things and keep the peace. Because we know we've got to pray just to make it today.
And in an apparent change of heart, the Turkish government is allowing some 20,000 Kurds down from the mountains into a transit camp inside Turkey itself. On the Turkish border, up to 1,000 refugees are said to be dying every day. At least 400,000 are living in appalling conditions. Our correspondent, Jeremy Bowen, has been to camps at Çukurca and Zumlu along the Turkey-Iraq border.
At first light, the bodies of the children who died in the night are brought down from the mountain at Çukurca. Hundreds have been killed by cold, hunger, and diseases caused by the filth around them, despite the relief effort. Some are taken to this makeshift mortuary in the local mosque. A family who could find no other shelter sleeps a few feet from the bodies. Outside, the dead are left by their relatives. They have no hope of giving their children and grandchildren a decent funeral, so they deposit them at the local mosque and hope that someone else will. Çukurca is a desperate place, but it's one of the more accessible camps. In the mornings, refugees wait for doctors and food to arrive. They beg Turkish soldiers to let them take the sickest people down to the village. The soldiers, though, believe some refugees are faking illness to get off the mountain and are hard to persuade. Some people are desperate enough to try to break through the cordon. The young Turkish conscripts are under orders to stop them. The most remote sites have barely been touched by the rescue operation. The few lorries that get through to a Zumlo camp high in the mountains are besieged by refugees. Only the young and the efficient process which prevents starvation at a price. The ridge where the parachutes landed is in Iraqi territory. They say that 10 people were killed yesterday trying to get packages which had landed in minefields. Through a tannoy, Turkish soldiers told the refugees to stay out of the minefields. They ignored the warnings. There's no real medical care at Zumlo, only a few handfuls of drugs for perhaps 10,000 people. Nothing can be done for the dying babies and their frantic parents. This woman said she blamed herself. The babies die from gastroenteritis and pneumonia, according to the only doctor, a refugee, who stays at the camp, and the medical student who helps him. They expect cholera next.
Yes, yes. It will appear. It will appear. Yes, it will appear.
There's no hospital, only a filthy tent. People without hope, whose strength is gone, lie next to piles of human excrement and wait for death.
I think we will face our fate. We will die one after the other. We've escaped from Saddam Hussein and his death, and we are facing another death here.
What will you do, though? Would you ever go back to Iraq?
I prefer to go my home because we will not want to live beggars or parasite on others, but we want to live with guarantee. We want guarantee from the United Nations, from Europe and everything, because we do not trust Saddam Hussein.
Isha Namat is 22. She lies in a hut with her 6 surviving children. She hasn't been able to stand since she gave birth to twin boys 10 days ago. She has no medicine and no doctor, but the hut has electricity. There's a television, and they watch the world they think has abandoned them. In the cemetery, her father is digging a grave for one of Isha Namat's babies. He buried the other yesterday. The old man hadn't heard about international promises of aid. He said they'd all been left to die. Jeremy Bowen, BBC News, at Mlozo camp on the Turkey-Iraq border.
Reports from Kurdish resistance leaders in northern Iraq say fighting is continuing in the border area with Iran, and artillery fire has been heard in the city of Sulaymaniyah. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees has arrived in western Iran to inspect the situation there. 6 new camps are being set up on the Iranian border to house the hundreds of thousands of Kurds needing shelter. From the border between Iran and Iraq, this report from Charles Wheeler.
After a cold, wet, sleepless night at the side of a stony mountain road, a mother tries to toast her baby. She's been walking for more than a week, and she's afraid her child will die before she reaches warmth and shelter. How far that is, how many more days they'll have to travel, none of these people know. They just keep going as best and as quickly as they can. The weather up here changes from minute to minute. Constant spring showers mean that clothes and blankets won't dry out before nightfall, and it's at night that so many have died. The road from Kurdish Iraq to Kurdish Iran twists and turns through the mountains at 6,000 feet above sea level. It's as though hundreds of thousands of people were inching their way along a ledge, with a cliff face on one side and a sheer drop on the other. And getting food and blankets to those in the queue is a logistical nightmare. There is barely room on the road for a relief vehicle to pass. So, to extend the relief effort to where the need is greater, the Iranian Air Force is now using Chinook helicopters. But in this region, bad weather has cut planned flights by more than half. And deliveries, averaging 30 tons a day, here of bread and rice, simply don't do more than scratch the surface of the need. This flight ended at the military post on the border with Iran. Thousands are forced to wait here because congestion has blocked the road into Iran. According to the military governor of this region, 1 million Kurds have already crossed into Iran, and another 500,000 are clogging the roads behind me. That queue, we're told, stretches for 40 miles. This is a whole people on the move. Nobody knows the extent of this human tragedy. All one can say is that what these people are suffering, the Kurds, is infinitely greater than what happened to the Kuwaitis.
Mr. George Bush is responsible for all this. He could destroy Saddam and his army, but he don't try. All this because he don't want Kurdish and Shia to be leader in Iraq, to run Iraq. Why did he do that? He could destroy the army. We could live in peace. The war is finished. He destroyed Kuwait. Kuwait is 1 million. 1 million. He do this all war for 1 million. We are 5 million. Saddam Hussein bombing, bomba, helicopters destroyed us. I don't know. They saw this, but they don't know why. We are human like you.
In the valleys well inside Iran, the government is setting up camps that grow larger every day.